I think it's time. All right. I think this is about better because I was kind of looking crazy. But what's going on, guys? I'm back. Before I start this video on the topic, I just want to say thanks to Luis Hermosillo, Julian, and a few people that's been jumping into the comments and checking out my videos. I have been diving into everybody's videos that's been mentioned. I've been watching them fully through and commenting. I think it's pretty cool that everybody has like their own thing going on for them where it doesn't feel like the same thing per person. So I appreciate everybody that's been throwing some love this way. Today's topic, I want to talk about men's mental health because it is the awareness month, and I wanted to share some stuff on that topic. So for anybody that's new to the channel or has been following, I do suffer from anxiety. Anxiety leads to depression, so I have my fair share of dealing with it. But in order to fully understand how it got here, I got to explain some more, some background story and how it got to where it got, because this is not something I had. Like, I wasn't born with it. I didn't have these issues like in my early teen years or whatever the case may be. This came late in life. Back in 2015, I lost my younger brother due to unaliving himself, unfortunately. 2015, it was around December, I want to say, and I was living with my fiance at the time in New York City, and I happened to get a text message from my mom, and she had texted me saying that something happened to my brother. So at first she said my other brother Joshua. So I thought it was something like street related, because we'll just leave it at that. And then she was like, no, your brother Calvin. And I was like, eh. So I thought something street related happened, because at the time they were kind of doing things that they shouldn't be doing, whatever the case may be. Turns out in that text message, she told me that he had passed away. And this was the first time that I've ever witnessed anybody in my family passing away. So when she said it, it threw me off for a whims. And I remember very vividly how it was. I got up from the bed real quick. My fiance was laying down on the bed, and like I was processing, like I was stuck on it, like what the hell's going on? So all I know is my fiance is looking at me and she's like, are you okay? And literally when she said that, that was it. I broke. So I thought something, still not knowing what happened, was like something street related. So when she told me that he unalived himself, that was it. I remember breaking down, crying, and just like it was just so much going on. For me, that was like the first experience I've ever witnessed with anybody around, passing away, whatever the case may be, especially that, normally, at least from New York, that's not something that I've really seen. It's more of just street related stuff. So yeah. So I went to my mom, etc., and we were just talking or whatever the case may be. I had asked how he did it, and it sucked. I don't want to talk about that on camera specifically how he did it, but he's no longer here. So fast forwarding just a little bit into December, obviously I was down, bothered. Unfortunately, I didn't get to spend a lot of time with him growing up. I had moments and stuff, but I didn't get to like fully grow up with him in my life. My dad would bring him around every once in a blue when my dad would come around and stuff like that. And then the last time I seen him he was already older, and he had lived out here in Pennsylvania, and he was having his second child at the time. The woman he was with was pregnant. That was gonna be his second child, and we were just like catching up, like normal stuff, whatever. He didn't want to come out for whatever reason, so my other brother Joshua came out. We all hung out. Unfortunately, that was the last time I got to hang out with him, see him, and obviously it was something new to me. And at the time, like, obviously I was sad, and I would think about it, and everything for me changed completely when New Year's Eve came. That day I was talking to my mom. I didn't do anything for New Year's. I didn't want to do anything for New Year's. And in the moment when I was talking to my mom and I was just, talking to her, whatever the case may be, I felt weird. Like, I felt off. So at first I didn't think anything too much, but I felt weird. And then at the time I had a Fitbit watch that my father had got me. So something told me to check the watch. And when I checked the watch, my heart rate was like really high, like really, really, really high. So in my head, I'm like, what the heck is going on? So out of thought, I'm thinking like, oh my God, like, am I gonna have a heart attack? So after a while, where things got a little too crazy, I told my mom, like, something's wrong. I feel like I'm gonna have a heart attack. So at the time I didn't feel anything, but I was just like starting to like freak out from seeing that. So in the house, they had like a door frame when I was talking to her on the phone. And at one point I started to see like fuzzy things in the air. I started to feel like I was gonna pass out. I felt sick, and I'm telling her like, something is wrong. So she starts freaking out a bit, and my brother at the time that lived in PA was coming down to New York for New Year's, and she was like, your brother's coming. I'm having pick you up, whatever the case may be. There was some issues going on at the time between me and my fiance. I won't get into details on that because it's not important. But she told me, like, my mom told me to go outside, see if the fresh air works, whatever the case may be. So at the time when I went outside, I felt like everything was like following with my head. So that alone freaked me more out. It kind of had me feel like, what the heck is gonna go on? I felt like like something's gonna happen to me in the house, and by the time my fiance comes back, she's gonna be like, what the hell is going on? Like, so I'm freaking out. So she said, like, at the time, she said, I believe she said he was like 5 or 10 minutes away from where I'm at. And to me, it felt like more than 10 minutes. That's how it felt. So there was no calming down. There was no nothing. So he finally picked me up in the car. He's bringing me to my mom's house, whatever the case may be. And I don't know how to explain it, but as he was driving, for every time he did a turn, like left or right, as going to the destination, it felt like I was gonna float through the car. So I was like just freaking out. I was freaking out to the point where at one point when the ball dropped, I'm crying, I'm freaking out. I don't know how to stay calm. It's just weird things. So I started getting like this pain like here that felt like it was my heart. And that's why I was thinking, like, I feel like I'm gonna have a heart attack. So at some point I fall asleep, but when I woke up, it was the same feeling. And my fiance called me. She was telling me like if I was good, whatever the case may be. And she was like, if I go over there, like, we're going to the hospital. So in my head, I'm like, all right, we're gonna go. I don't like hospitals personally, but I was so scared. I was like, all right, I'm going. So we went. And that feeling was just, it was uncomfortable, it was uncomfortable, it was uncomfortable, it was uncomfortable. I get to the hospital, they taking forever to call me. And so at some point they finally called me, they took me to the back, they put the EKG on me. And I've never went through any of this before. Like, I never had an EKG on me, none of that stuff. So I'm freaking out just by that alone, because I'm like, oh my God, am I gonna die? They said the EKG came back clear and there was nothing wrong, but to double check, they did a x-ray. So they made me take off my shirt, go into this room, put my hands up, and then the machine kind of like just rotates around to double check. And they were saying like, I'm fine. So in my head, I'm like, well, I know you're saying I'm fine, but I don't feel fine. Like, I feel what I feel. Like, there's no way in, like, it's impossible. Like, double check something, like second opinion. I don't know anything. So they were saying like, I'm fine. But in my head, I'm like, no, I'm not. I don't feel fine. So like, no matter what I did, I couldn't calm down. I just kept feeling that pain in my heart. The doctor started asking me questions, and he was like, I asked him at the time, was smoking more than usual, because I was smoking cigarettes at the time, but I was smoking a lot when my brother passed. I was like, can that play a part in what I'm feeling? And then he was asking how long I've been smoking, and he was telling me pretty much like, I didn't smoke long enough for it to do any type of real damage yet, at least. So then he asked me, like, has anything happened recently, or any like change of events or something. And at the time, the only thing that popped in my head was my brother. So I told him, like, my brother, had passed away. I had told him like what happened, and so that became a situation where he was like, he thinks it's anxiety. And literally since that day, I have been dealing with it. And in the beginning moments of when I had it, it was so bad because I've obviously never had that before. I didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't know how to do anything to cope or like just continue moving and not freak out that it caused issues between me and my fiance. We would fight a lot. I was like too paranoid to leave the house by myself. Like I would not go outside unless somebody was with me, because I was always thinking like if something happens to me, I need someone to be with me in case something does happen. And like it was a lot. It was a lot. It was a lot. Like it took everything out of me. And at the time, my fiance was pregnant with my son, so it was a lot to take in. And me going through something like that I've never been through, I kind of felt like I was starting to feel like I was crazy, because it's like, how do I explain something to somebody that they won't understand unless they kind of like have it? So like it was rough. It was rough. It took me a long time to get to where I'm at today, to be able to separate the anxiety and still be able to do the things I need to do, like between work, go outside. Like it was a lot. Like I would not want to travel, not at all. Like I just would want to stay in my house. Like that was my safe space. It's like if something's gonna happen, it's gonna happen in this house with somebody here, and not me go outside to the store, to anywhere. It was a ride. I'm not gonna say that it got easier, but I will say that over time I learned to kind of like know when it's gonna come. I've learned to know the things that can kind of trigger it. I've learned to see what to do to help in the process. I did, for a very super small time, go to see a therapist to try to help me with that, but I'm not gonna say I fully dove in, because I think I only went to see the therapist maybe once or twice. But with what they taught me, they helped to explain what it is and certain things I can do, and till this day I still do it. So she told me, anxiety is something that you feel, but it's not something that's real. And she was like, she had told me, when I have anxiety, to try to focus in on certain, like something, anything, whether it's read something or just anything in general. So for me, at the time, I had to go back to work. I used to work in Manhattan, and I would have to take the train, and it would take about like almost an hour for me to get to work on the train. So me being in the train, traveling or on the ground, like that alone had me already freaking out, because I'm like, I hope nothing happens like where I feel that again traveling. But I would read like the little things they would have at the top of the train to like focus in on, and it did help, because if you fixate on something, it takes away what you're feeling or what you think you're feeling. So at some point it didn't work anymore, but what has become the thing that I use is music. I will zone in on the music. I would always throw on the headphones, put it up max volume, and focus on the lyrics or whatever the case may be. And to this day, I will never leave my house without my headphones. I have to have my headphones. There was times I left home and I already be far from my house, and I'll be like, crap, I forgot my headphones, and I will be late just to get my headphones, just to make sure that I can have something to keep me like good in case those things do happen. So music is like definitely that go-to. I listen to music on the daily. The anxiety, I have it still, but it's not as bad as it was, but it definitely does happen, and certain things do trigger it at times depending on what's going on in my life. But with the anxiety, it had also brought into depression, which is where I feel like I kind of battled that more than the anxiety, because I used to think about what life was before I had these problems. And so I used to like zone in on like, damn, I remember when I was normal. I remember when I didn't have this. I didn't have to worry or feel these things that I never used to feel before. So, you know, I've obviously gotten better. I push myself more than ever. That's one thing I try to do the most, especially now. I've said it in other videos. I've been really trying to push myself to keep my mental like up, because I do have a lot of more down days and up days, but I'm constantly trying to push. I don't do it only for myself. I do it for my family, not my family like just my my fiance and my son, but like all my family, like I'm constantly trying to push, even when I don't want to, because a lot of days I don't want to do any of it. It takes a lot just to do the bare basic stuff. But I feel like the more I'm pushing myself, it's starting to become easier to just do it as a routine and not feel like a chore, if that makes sense. This mental health stuff is it's a lot. It's a lot. There was moments when, my brother had did what he did. There was times I had a lot of anger towards him because it's like, you did what you did and you're not here no more. Uh, a decision you made, put me in a position where it changed my life forever. The anxiety was so bad when my son was born. I was paranoid to hold him. I was paranoid to do anything with him because I felt like if something happened to me, I could, God forbid, drop him. Like it was bad. It was bad. Like the only thing I did at the time was just work, and that was it. I was just paranoid to do anything else, and that's because money has to get made in order to take care of, your woman, pay whatever bills has got to get paid. Your son. So it was definitely a lot. It's unfortunate. There's days I wish I would have known certain things. Like there's a lot of stories that went around on how that ended up to even be a thing. I don't know the truth, and I'm not gonna just take what people say and just say like, oh yeah, that's the truth. But it's sad. It's sad. He was young. He left two kids behind. Seeing somebody not alive in person for like the first time ever, like it was a lot for me to process. I didn't want to physically go up to his body to see him because I didn't want that to be like the last image in my head to remember him as. But my sister was very adamant on wanting me to go up with her, and like I really didn't want to. I really didn't want to, but I did it for her. I felt like she needed that support, but it was a lot. And I went up. She did things I would never do. Like she touched him while he was there, and I'm not that kind of person. That's like it's just too much for me. But I cried. I don't like crying. I don't like crying in front of people, and I definitely don't like crying in public. But I couldn't hold it in because it was just too much to deal with. And a lot of people there that came for the wake, they've never really seen me. They knew about me, but they've never seen me. And me and my brother that passed away are the only two that look the most like my father. So it was kind of crazy because I cried, I turned around, and I go running outside to kind of like get air, smoke a cigarette to kind of like calm down. But like the whole room literally froze, stopped, and stared at me, and I'm just like what the heck? Like why is everybody staring at me? So it was awkward as hell. It definitely made me feel very uncomfortable. It feels like when you go to school late and you go into a class that's already started, but when you come in, everybody be quiet and look at you, and it's like, okay, I'm late. Something like that, I guess. But at the time, I didn't understand why they were staring at me. But it's because I look like my father, and they never seen me. So me looking like him and looking like my dad, they're like, oh, like who is he? Like, oh, this is the one we heard about. So it was a lot. I wish I had more time with him. I wish, well, I like to think that if I knew certain things, I would have done more. And I think I would have, I mean, at the end of the day, we don't know if it would have changed the outcome still, but I feel like at least I could have tried to do something, and maybe that trying could have changed the outcome. But unfortunately, that's not the case. Through his passing, it made me see things a lot different. It made me appreciate time. It made me appreciate spending time with people. It made me want to do things more with people because you just never know what anybody's going through or when's their last day. So I push on that a lot. I try to be there for my nephew as much as I can. I didn't really have my uncles be around there to kind of like do uncle things, but I try to do the best I can to try to like guide my nephew, anything he's going through, whether it's my nephew or nieces, anyone. I try to, ever since then, I try to be there for pretty much almost anybody at this point that's definitely going through stuff. Like when I streamed a lot on Twitch, it started off playing games, and I still play games throughout streaming on Twitch, but the channel went from kind of like playing games to like just trying to create a community where anybody that's struggling or feels like they have no one, like I try to push that positivity into them, and also try to be that person where if they feel like they have no one, like I'd be that person to lean on. Like say what you gotta say, Like, you're not alone, if you feel like nobody cares, I care. I know I don't know you personally in real life, but I care. And I did that for a while, and I had some fair share moments of some real dark stuff going on in the chat that, like, literally it went from like playing games into haha to like putting the game down and just zoning in on the people and stuff. That's kind of like what I've been doing for like the most part when it comes to just anything in general. It has nothing to do with streaming anymore or making videos, but like I feel like ever since I lost my brother that way, it just changed my perspective to the point where it feels like I want to be that person to help people. It might not make a difference for some it might, but even if it just makes a little, that's enough for me. Like, it makes me feel good. I do things just genuinely because that's who I am as a person. I don't need nothing back. I don't need nobody to return favors or whatever the case may be. For anybody watching this video, if you struggle with mental health, if you need someone to talk to, if you feel like you're alone or you feel like you're ready to give up or you feel like nobody cares, like literally you could comment under this video. Like, I'll be all ears. Like, anything, advice, ears, just somebody to listen, anything. Like, I'm willing to be that person. I've been doing it for a long time, and I don't think I'll ever stop doing it because it doesn't cost nothing to be genuine. Life is hard, so I know so many things can go on in one person's life that can put you at a breaking point. I've had a breaking point at one point in my life. I won't go into too much detail, but I've hit a point one time where I've thought about those type of thoughts, not wanting to do it, but it's come across my mind. Choices like that, I don't judge. I don't put the blame. Like, we could all say what we say and feel how we feel and have our own opinions when it comes to it, but it's just the way life is sometimes. And I feel like as people, we should be very mindful of what's going on around us or people, because you'd be surprised the happiest people be the ones that's really going through it. I try to hide it in most cases, but I don't really do that anymore. I kind of just like let it be. But I have my own reasons for that. I don't want people always all the time asking me like, hey, and have to talk about things that I don't want to talk about in the moment. But I have gotten better with it. I'm very open now. I can talk about anything. Like, anybody can ask me a question, and I have no shame on anything when it comes to talk about anything that's personal in my life, because I'm content with who I am. I'm not worried about this person might judge me or whatever the case may be. So with that being said, if you're struggling, talk to someone, anyone. The smallest thing, the smallest gesture you do for a person can really change the outcome on something that's big is going on in their life. I will see you guys in the next one. And as I always say, support is support. Love is love. Peace.